I was talking with an Indonesian pastor a couple of days ago, and he said that in Indonesia, a group came in that is a radical fundamentalist Islamic group. And whereas normally Muslims and Christians have lived side by side in great peace and harmony for many years in Indonesia, lately there's been this radical group there in Indonesia that has pressured the government to not allow Christians to do some of the things that they prefer to do in their religion. The Christians are only 8 to 9% of the population in Indonesia. This is the largest Muslim population in the world, much more so than in the Middle East. So the government has been pressured by this radical group to not allow Christians to, get this, have Bible studies in their own homes. Apparently, it's seen as okay for them to worship in churches, but not open up their own Bible in their own homes, because it's seen that the Christians might proselytize and try to convert their neighbors that live around them. He said that if somebody disobeys the government's strong suggestion that they not have Bible studies in their home, then the home can be attacked. And this has happened before, where people come into the home and drag the Christians out and beat them up and severely hurt them and threaten their lives. This is really eye-opening that these kinds of things happen around the world. And I am sharing this story because I think that maybe you and I living in the United States, maybe we take our faith for granted. Maybe it's so easy for us to be Christians here in this country. I think in our country, other faiths have a harder time. And that's where we need to stand in the gap as advocates and protect the vulnerable in our country. And yet also this is a wake-up call for Christians here in the United States, where it's easier to be Christians, to say, do I take my faith for granted, and do I not really appreciate it? Because these Indonesians, I asked the pastor if they converted, then would they still be beat up and harassed like this and discriminated against? And he said, no, everything would be fine if they converted. So then I said, so then why are they not converting? And he said, because their faith is just too precious to them. It's important to them. If they would risk harassment, discrimination, even physical attack, because their faith's important to them, because being a Christian means that much to them, then what does that mean for you and me if you are a Christian and I am a Christian? What does that mean to us? What would we be willing to go through because of our love for Jesus and our belief that Jesus is our Lord? What does that mean? In our church year, we're approaching a time called Lent, and you might be unfamiliar with this. Some denominations practice Lent and others don't. But Lent is the weeks leading up to Easter. So before Easter, which has been historically the most important day in the entire Christian church year, more than even Christmas, Easter was celebrated first and was seen and is still seen around the world as the most important day in all of Christianity. So the weeks leading up to that time, that's a time for us to quietly reflect on what does our faith mean to us? How important really is it? It's not just a label that we say we're Christians, like we're saying, well, we're Americans or we're Californians or some other label. But if it's really precious to us, if we would be willing to sacrifice for it, if it means that much to us, then why? Why is it important? What is its value? What does it mean? This is a faith that's not necessarily supposed to just go hand in hand with everything the culture tells you to do and think and be. This is a religion that is in many ways countercultural from what regular messages are out there, that our worth is in what we achieve, or that our worth is in what we buy, how much money we have, or how successful we are. Jesus in many ways turned all of that upside down and backwards and said that what's most important is that God is with us and that we are loved, and that we are then to go show that love and enact that love to others. even strangers, even our enemies. We're used to many of these stories, but Lent gives us a good time to think about these things. Why is our faith important to us? How can we not take it for granted? How can we remember the meaning and the relevance that our faith has in our own lives? So I encourage you to take this time during Lent, which starts this coming Wednesday. Take this time to think, if I am a Christian, then why am I a Christian? What does it matter to me? How is it important to me? I invite you to come to Cross and Crown for our activities that we have going on during the season of Lent. If you'd like somewhere to go to think about these things, we have Wednesday service, Ash Wednesday at 7 o'clock in the evening. And then we have a Sunday series on the spiritual disciplines and how that helps us to really understand our own faith in our own lives. And then, of course, we do have Easter service later. We also have midweek Wednesday evening soup suppers and services. The soup suppers are at 6 and the services are at 7. And so these all, actually they're discussions more than services, but these all give us opportunities to think more deeply about our own faith. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe to these videos if they're enjoyable or helpful for you, and please share them with your friends. Thank you so much, and may God bless you this Lent and always. Bye-bye.